Well, hello and welcome to Learning Technologies Autumn Forum 2025. It's day one, it's session 4, and I am delighted to be with you looking from the chat for people all around the world. My name is Anthony. I've been working in learning and development for just over 25 years, and probably in the last 10 focusing mostly on digital learning. So this is really the session I've been looking forward to all day. I hope you have too. Because not only do I work in learning and development and digital learning, but I'm a real advocate of what we do really matters. And being able to tell my boss what results I've had is hugely important. So I think this is going to be a really good session. So as you're joining us, please pop in the chat where you're from around the world and continue to fill the chat throughout the session with any comments you may have. You'll also notice that there is a questions tab. If you have questions for our presenters, then please pop them in there, and there will also be some poll questions throughout the session, which are live at the moment. So I can't think of anybody better to talk to us about this subject than our fabulous guest today. So please welcome Melissa Trimble, everybody.
Yes. Hi. Hi from
Hi.
everywhere, it looks like.
Absolutely, and welcome to you all the way from North Carolina today. So
I
how's
am.
things today?
Humbly from the United States in on the East Coast in North Carolina. So it's very exciting for me to be invited and to see that we've got people from all over. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for that introduction, Anthony, and telling us a little bit about your story and your
Yeah,
interests.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait to see this. I am a user of your product, so I'm hoping I'm going to learn something today as well. So I'm going to hand over to you now, Melissa. But for everybody who has joined us, I'm going to be backstage. I'll be able to see everything you pop in the chat. If there's anything that you want Melissa to answer, there's definitely time at the end of the session for Q&A. But if there's something really urgent, just flag it up that you'd like to know. And I'll pop back in and ask Melissa any questions that do come up while we're at it. But in the meantime, I will see you all later. And over to you, Melissa.
Yeah, all right. Thanks again. So again, thanks for joining. My name is Melissa Trimble, and I'm a senior product evangelist with Articulate. And I've been with Articulate for about 3.5 years almost. And I've been in the same role. I talk to a lot of our current customers. I talk to a lot of prospects. I work really closely with our sales and our customer success teams. And probably one of my favorite things to do is to be a part of events like this, where I get to talk to our customers in real time, and just people in the e-learning industry. So I go to a lot of our trade shows. This is my first time doing learning tech virtually. I've been in London several times. So this is, again, very exciting and just a pleasure to have everyone join me. And there is someone else from North Carolina. So hi, Karen. Thank you so much. So I love the engagement already. Please, as we move through the session, put your thoughts into chat. As Anthony mentioned, we also have a questions tab where you can ask questions. I have my colleague, Naira. She is also from Articulate, so she might pop in there to answer some questions, or we can also address them at the end of our session. I built in some time for that. And then I've got 3 polls running. So I want to see some of your responses to those poll questions, and that's really going to help me kind of gauge where everyone is and kind of change my session as I move through it, believe it or not. So I've done this session a couple of times, but I've never done it virtually. So I'm always really excited to see where everyone's coming from and how they're currently using AI in what they're doing every day. So to get us started here, I really just want to set the scene, and I want to show you the perspective of where I'm coming from, and then also, where I should never assume, but assume a lot of you are feeling the same things. And that is, your team has more course requests than ever before, right? Your boss and your leadership, they want something creative, they want something on brand, but they also want something measurable, and they want it really quickly. And with all of these new AI tools that we have at our disposal, it can get really tricky for us who are actually making the courses to choose the right tool, and then to also be able to measure the quality and the workflow improvements and actually present those to our leadership team. I feel like you're basically being asked to be part designer, part strategist, part AI evangelist, which is, my job as an evangelist. And some of you didn't sign up for this, but we're moving with the times here, and we got to get on board. But of course, you're buried in all that production work as well, and it's really hard to get to that big picture impact. It can feel like it's really far away. So with today's session, I really want to turn this on its head, and I want to talk about AI and e-learning and how the right tool can help you build faster, design smarter, and actually have time to focus on the strategic stuff, or maybe just the work that really inspires you or moves the needle. So that's what we're here to talk about. And for those just joining, that's okay. We did get started. And my name is Melissa Trimble. As I said, I'm a product evangelist at Articulate and thrilled to be here. And today we're really going to spend the time exploring how AI can help you and your team and connect your learning experiences directly to those business results, which I think is really a hard piece of that puzzle, right? You're the one in there creating the courses, but it's a lot harder to try and sell that to your leadership. And how do you do that? And how do you get started? So just a brief look at some of the points I'm going to try to cover. I want to show you first how AI can help. So how it can speed up your course creation, boost creativity and personalization in your learning, and align your work directly with some of those organizational goals. So basically, I like to say it's showing your boss the money in real ROI. Because here's the thing, you might be really excited about using AI in your work, and you might have seen some pretty great results so far, but how do you prove that to your leadership team? The ROI, the efficiency, and the scalability. And I've talked to a lot of folks who essentially need to become that internal champion, the one that can explain not just what AI does, which is hard enough sometimes, but also why it matters. So we're going to explore how to make a strong evidence-based business case for AI in what you're doing. And we're going to talk about what speaks to both the head and to the heart of your leadership team. I will be talking about Articulate's AI assistant and how that kind of folds into the story with different differentiators. Obviously, that's what I'm using, perhaps some of you, but we're going to go high level as well so that, when you are analyzing different AI solutions, you know exactly what you're looking for. So today we'll cover how to spot those key challenges in traditional e-learning, how AI fixes those, how to build and test a persuasive data-driven business case. We want to address those leadership concerns confidently, even the skeptical ones. And finally, how do you make the ask? So how do you win support to bring AI into your workflow? So by the end, hopefully you'll have what you need, or at least enough to be able to take that first step into presenting your case to your leadership and taking it from here. You're starting here today. Maybe some of you are a little farther along. And as I mentioned, I also would love some participation. So make sure you pop over to those 3 polls that you have access to. And I'm also going to invite you to reflect on a few questions as we move through, so we can keep this session as interactive as possible. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. So we've all heard this before. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here. AI is changing everything, right? The AI is changing everything talk. However, this is really a reality for us as e-learning designers. It's here to stay, and we're all feeling, I think, this pressure. And that's where the right AI tool is really a game changer. It can help you get from ideas to finished products or just first drafts faster than ever before. If you make a ton of quizzes in your courses, or even those interactive moments, without losing that personal touch, and quality, the right AI tool can do that for you. But here's the thing, it's not just about getting more done. It's also about freeing up your time to focus on the stuff that really matters, that creative human side of learning design that actually makes a difference. What you want is an AI solution that will handle the busy work so you can spend your time where it counts, crafting those learning experiences. So it doesn't matter if you're a solo learning designer, if you're part of a big team, AI should help you do more, do it better, but still keep that spark that makes learning still continue to feel human, and not just human, but also feel like you. So I think this little introduction is a great time to pop over to our first poll. And if you haven't done so, go ahead and do it. And my first poll I want to hear from you is, how familiar are you with using AI tools in your e-learning workflow? So it looks like we've got almost a fair split between folks that have tried a few tools and folks that use AI occasionally. Okay, so very interesting, kind of a testing group. And that takes up about 70 some odd percent of our group today so far. We've also got a pretty big, pretty big number here, 22%, that AI is already part of your process. So maybe you've even chosen a tool already and you're incorporating that every day. And then a couple of folks here, I've never used AI tools in my workflow. All right, well, that's very helpful to me. I appreciate y'all sharing. And as I said, I've presented this session in different ways before, and it's always just interesting to see where everyone falls on the spectrum, especially as AI continues to evolve. So before we start to talk about how to sell AI internally, I want to move on and talk about how to choose it wisely. Because, great ideas don't get by with enthusiasm alone. They land because you have to have that groundwork, that solid groundwork to present your business case. So let's level set on what this good looks like, right? How to spot quality output of your AI tool. What are those real workflow gains? How do you adopt it? What kinds of things should you be looking for? So I've come up with my own list here of 5 things to get you started with things to look for in an AI-powered solution. So number 1 is maybe the biggest one, arguably, it's a pretty big deal, is the quality of the output that solution is producing. Not all AI is created equal. That might be nice. But, if the tool that you're using produces content that's either inaccurate, it's generic, it's bland, it's written by a robot, I mean, essentially it is, but it feels and sounds like it is, and you're not able to make those tweaks and give it those prompts to make it sound more like you, if it's more work to get to that place, then it's really not helping. You want that spark. You want that content that feels alive, it feels thoughtful, and most importantly, it feels accurate. So I always tell people to make sure that you give the prompts and get the output that you would be comfortable sharing with your learning audience. And this is going to be always included in the testing that you do. So my first tip is really to pick a topic that you care about and really well. Use that with your AI solution to make sure that the results are human, they're clear, and they're useful. Now, next, I want you to consider how the tool fits into your daily work. The best AI tools aren't just impressive, but they're also really practical. So look for the ones that take care of those time-consuming tasks for you, to give you back that valuable time and focus on what really matters. And design experiences that your learners are actually going to want to take. For my third one, ease of use and purposeful design. No one has time for a steep learning curve or something that's confusing. A great AI tool should really fit seamlessly into what you're already doing. It should be intuitive, well-designed, something tailored for instructional designers. If you're really spending more time trying to figure it out than actually creating with it, I always tell folks that this is a sign that it's just simply not the right fit, because it's really supposed to make your job easier. And number 4, ethics, data privacy, and security. These should be top of mind for you and your organization. With so many different AI tools out there, it's really really critical to choose tools that are transparent about how they handle your data. I always say that if there is a lack of transparency, if you're unable to find the answers to your questions about what the AI is trained on, how it stores or uses any of your content, how your data is protected, then that really is a red flag. And you want to make sure you're assessing this very carefully. You know your boss is going to do the same. And then, of course, AI should support you in your learning development, not replace you as the expert. Let's be very clear. AI is supposed to be an assistant, and it's not supposed to be the author. You are the person that has the knowledge, has the passion. You're the creative problem solver. You understand the content and how best to engage with your learners and to inspire growth. The best AI tools are going to amplify your expertise. They're going to help you brainstorm for faster production. They're going to help you reach your goals. They don't replace you. They don't replace your judgment, and they only should help to empower you. All right, so let's move on to poll number 2. I think this is a good place for it. My poll number 2 is, when evaluating an AI tool for e-learning, what factor matters most? So this is always very interesting for me to see after giving some of my tips here. So it looks like we've got another split. It looks like 37% are looking for quality and accuracy of AI output. Yes, very important. We're also looking for ease of use and integration, data security and privacy. And interestingly enough, we've only got 2% that say cost or ROI potential. So this is very interesting to me. I'm so glad that you're here, because assuming that a lot of you are coming from the e-learning designing background, and that's what you're doing every day, the fact that you might put cost or ROI towards the bottom makes perfect sense. But the fact that you're here and you're trying to decide the best way to build that business case to help your leadership understand the cost and ROI potential is perfect. This is why I do these polls. So thank you so much for participating there. All right, so now that we know what to look for and what y'all are looking for in an AI-powered solution, we want to put it to the test. This is a very simple thing to say. It's a little bit harder in theory, but here's the truth of it, is that you can't just pick one and maybe check some of those boxes and get started with it. You have to start thinking about your business case from the very beginning of course production. And the real challenge is going to be to show your leadership team that it actually delivers. So to get them on board, we're going to go beyond the features. You've got to prove those outcomes, and we're going to dive into that now. So this is where your business case comes in, and you're going to connect your dots between being that course designer and then being that person who maybe their main focus is cost and ROI production. So step 1 is going to be to choose a course you've already created. Now, ideally, you want to recreate the whole course in the next step, or bits and pieces of it is okay if you're really under tight time constraints. And you want to pick one you know very well, and one that involved multiple stages. So one that you tracked your time or could go back and track time for things like writing, scripting, design, and review, because you really want a strong baseline. You want something that you're familiar with. Again, we're going to judge the quality of the AI output. So you want to make sure that you're an expert in the content that you created the first time. And you want to really feel connected to it. So right here, I just gave a very basic example of a 1-hour course that I built. And then I broke down all the different phases and how long it took me to do each step without use of any AI tool. So now I know what worked, what maybe took forever, where the bottlenecks were. And I feel like this is a perfect candidate for being able to test AI's potential in my workflow. So now that I've got that baseline, I can recreate the course with AI. Again, if this feels daunting, please don't let it be. This is a necessary evil, as they say. You have to do that comparison. If you can't do the entire course, then pick some of those pieces that are going to be helpful in gathering the useful data. So maybe you start with a course outline, learning objectives, a quiz, or a summary, something like that. Start small, and then you may find that you want to test more components, and then you've got more to work with later on. Even these smaller tests are going to reveal where AI can meaningfully speed up your work, improve your quality without overwhelming your process. Now, number 3, you're probably going along here with me, but it's going to be to track everything. This is really where your proof moment is to make your strong business case. You're going to need those clear, measurable results. As you recreate that course, make sure you're documenting everything in real time. So things like time spent, final polish, how long it took to do iterations. I just created this very simple table in Excel. And I simply put in each column of how long that particular phase took me without AI, with AI. I even created a little quality scale. I felt like it was important not to forget that, of course, I'm going to write something that sounds more on brand, like my company or like me. So my quality might be better. I want to make sure I account for that. We're going to talk more about team feedback in just a moment, but also getting your team to comment on how they found the use of the tool. You should really never be like a one-person show when it comes to testing. You're always going to want to get other people's input, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But a very simple table here to track everything. And then step 4, add these to your business case. Okay, you've already started to build a case. You've done the work. You want to bring these findings to that leadership table with confidence. You're not just guessing anymore. You don't just feel a certain way about how AI could improve things. You've actually got the data. And this is where your test really becomes a story. Don't forget something that I always say as well is I know it's difficult sometimes to not have bias, or if you've already been using the AI tool, maybe on the side, to not come in and say, this is what we need to do. Try to think about it objectively, so that you also want to write down the things that maybe didn't go so well. Like maybe your AI solution isn't good at XYZ, or maybe you felt like it took too many prompts to really get you to that place that worked for your course. Make sure that you assess things as fairly as you can, because maybe it's not this AI tool that's the right solution for you. Maybe it's a different one. So it's not always going to be a slam dunk right away. And then 5, this is where I would really say to also gather data from your other teammates, your other team members, have them test certain things. You might be the person pulling it all together, but they can help you wrap this up with that real feedback. So really to say how the process went for them, what was good, what helps. Numbers really get attention, but I always say that stories create that buy-in. So this can paint a picture for them in a smarter, more efficient learning process. And you've now got your teammates to back you up here and really give their voice to a lot of what you're going to be saying. All right, we are moving through it here. And at this point, we've only really talked about that tangible stuff. So hopefully you're getting just a better gauge on what kind of numbers you can come up with to share with your team. But we don't want to forget about the intangibles. And beyond the data, beyond those efficiency wins, is the human side of all of this. The things that change how your team works together. This is what changes how the learners actually engage with the content and how your organization keeps growing. You can't put all these intangibles on a spreadsheet, but this is really where a lot of the long-term impact comes from. So I want to point out a couple of intangibles to consider when you're building out your case. So the first one here is empowering confidence amongst your team, amongst your e-learning designers. AI is not going to replace them. It will actually amplify them. A good AI solution will. They give your team permission to experiment, to explore new formats quickly, right? To push boundaries and, when they're already in a time crunch, to be able to do more. So you can really show this spark of confidence and really bring this to the table as part of the reason why your organization should adopt an AI tool. Another one is team morale and burnout prevention. So let's face it, we talked in the beginning, and now things are moving so fast. We're being asked to do so much more. A lot of those repetitive production tasks really drain and really affect morale. AI can really help lighten the load because when your team spends less time doing things like formatting or drafting quiz questions, again, you can do more of that meaningful work that matters to you and really just helps keep you happy with your job. So this is the one that I really love. And the next one is fostering a culture of innovation. When you adopt AI into your culture, it's very powerful and it sends a message that goes beyond just the time and the money savings. It tells others that your team is future ready. It shows that you're curious, that you're agile, you're willing to embrace technology. And this mindset even shifts and can shift the tone across your organization. So it doesn't always just impact what you're doing, but it's really sending a message organization wide. And we have to talk about the learner here. Of course, the learner is really the heart of what we do. And when AI helps you design content that feels fresh, it feels dynamic, your learners notice. They sit up and notice. Engagement goes up, knowledge sticks longer, feedback gets better. You're not just saving time, you're really creating a learning experience that actually lands. And lastly, that cross functional impact. So I just talked about kind of setting the stage for your organization. And this is just widening this. This is that ripple effect. When L&D gets faster and smarter with AI, everyone really benefits. So it could be going out to HR, sales, of course, compliance. They all get better learning support. They're getting faster turnaround times, higher quality content. It doesn't just stay again in your department, it really spreads out amongst your business. All right, I love this little image I was able to create. So, as you build your case for AI, please remember it's not just about one type of win. The tangibles, of course, matter. The time saved, the faster ROI, clear ROI, faster production. But those intangibles are what's going to speak to the story, and they matter just as much. Less burnout, more creative spark, greater focus on the learner, a culture of innovation, all of those things we just talked about. Together, the two of these things are going to make your business case unshakable. So this is equally as important as getting those numbers on the spreadsheet. All right, so this one I didn't put in a poll, but I did want to bring up just kind of as a reflection. So I think this is a good moment for this reflection as we move through the content. I want you to think about your own team or your current projects and where do you see AI having the biggest impact for you? So maybe it's speeding up content creation. Maybe it's giving you back creative time. Maybe it's helping learners feel more engaged. What have I said so far? What are you thinking of on your own that's really going to impact or could impact your process? So just take a moment to reflect on that. If you're comfortable dropping your thoughts into the chat, I know we'd love to hear it. And I can pop over and just see if there's any bravery out there. But yeah, just something to think about, something that's going to be important as you move past the presentation today, and start to reflect how this could really, really help. And someone did share, I could use it to kind of put me out of that blank canvas mode. Yes, that's a great, great, real use case, real thing that happens every day to e-learning designers to give you that creative spark. Thank you. Biggest impact will be productivity and enhanced creativity. Okay. Yes, seeing a lot of creativity sparks that AI can really help nurture. All right. Storytelling. Very good. All right. So we can talk more about these things, but continue to reflect here as you'd like. I appreciate everyone participating as we move through. I hate talking to myself. But next up, we've got another challenge ahead of us, and that is to face those objections. So if they have objections, that's great. It means they're engaged. Your goal here is not to bulldoze through those objections, is to really meet them with everything that you've figured out, the confidence, the clarity, the empathy. And we've got answers to back up all of these objections. So I went ahead and just created some objections that I've heard. Maybe you can share more of your own objections from leadership in the chat would be great. And let's see some possible responses or just some tips from me as far as how you could answer. All right, so number one, is it secure? I hope your organization is asking if the AI solution is secure, and I hope that they're asking for all the policies around security and privacy and data protection. That is a great sign. Your response to this should be backed up by those transparent policies and everything that you're able to provide. Assure them that you'll use it within secured, approved workflows, no sensitive data, tell them there will be no gray areas. You could even offer to partner with IT to make sure that everything is in order. So just make sure you have that paperwork to back it up. They may also say, wait, is the content really good enough? And several of you mentioned this referring to the quality. So when your boss says, is the content good enough? They want to know, are we going to be still sharing a quality product? So here's what you tell them. You say, don't just take my word for it. And this is, of course, where your business case comes in. See the difference. Maybe point out that AI helped with the structure, AI helped with the speed, but people still make the final call. A lot of the testing that I've done internally and on my team is making sure that everything runs through that subject matter expert after the course is created. So if you're in that same position, reassure your boss that it will continue to run through the subject matter expert to ensure that it meets quality and accuracy, just without, as I think Anthony said, without that blank page struggle. They also might want to know, are we replacing our people? I think this is a great sign if your boss asks and is concerned about replacing you and your people, right? So this may be an objection that they say. I would encourage you to respond and say, hey, first of all, I'm championing this, right? I want this in my process. I'm not worried that it's going to replace me. It's about protecting our team from burnout and busy work. It's going to take the repetitive stuff off our plate so we can focus on the stuff we want to do. We can focus on strategy and what matters. We really want to use this as what it's meant to be used for, as a creative assistant. All right, this one might not be so easy, but you've probably heard it. Is the price? The price is too high. Okay, this is where your numbers come in. This is where you speak to the spreadsheet. It is fair to ask about price, of course. Budgets are really tight everywhere. But here's the thing, you don't need a huge investment to see results. So, one thing you could say is let's start small. Let's do one pilot project, low risk. If it works out, great, we can scale up. If not, then we've learned something without spending too much. But this is where you're going to calculate the time saved per course, the higher productivity. You're going to cushion it all with all those intangibles. And then the return on investment becomes clear. It's not going to be an expense. Eventually, they won't think of it that way, hopefully. It's going to be an efficiency multiplier that really pays off in both hours and in outcomes. And the last one here, I've heard this one a lot, which is why I wanted to bring it up, is does every team really need it? This one's always very interesting to me, but I think, again, it's a fair objection. So when I think about this objection, does every team need it? The real answer is maybe not, right? You are going to know your team, perhaps your organization better. So don't feel like it's an all or none situation. The answer is maybe not all teams need it, but every team can benefit from it. So whether it's sparking that creativity, whether it's saving time on production work, it's less about does everyone need it and more about finding where AI makes the biggest difference for your team. So now I want everyone to remember objections are not roadblocks. In fact, they're opportunities to show your preparation. When you demonstrate how an effective AI solution works, you're not just addressing concerns, but you really are building your credibility. Back your pitch, the evidence, the insights, the outcomes, everything we talked about during the testing phase, and you're going to move the conversation from why should we to how, right? How, when do we start? So how about poll number 3? I would love to see if AI could save your team development time. We talked about this a little bit in the reflection, but that's okay. What would you do with that extra time? All right, what would you do with that extra time? It looks like 35% would improve existing learning experiences. That is so interesting. I actually I love to see that. I love to see that you're focused on the learner, that you know the learner is an integral part of this process and you want to make improvements. A good number of you would also focus on strategy and analysis. We've got a fair number engaging more with learners, kind of along the same, building more courses, and only 7% said they'd finally take a breather. So I was, that might have been my answer. I don't know. But finally feel great maybe about what you're doing and maybe feel like you could take a breather, whatever that breather means to you. All right. Thank you so much for participating once again. So this is it. You're in front of your leadership table. It really is your time to shine here, your time to present. This is where all your preparation comes together. So how do you win them over? We're going to talk about leading with the results and then backing it up with the why. So showing the numbers, but also telling the story. Here's my recommendation for how to make that pitch. Number 1, present your findings with confidence. It's time to bring your story to life. You want to walk your leadership through the process of what you did. So this isn't sharing your facts yet, but starting with the overall goal of what you set out to do. Show them your scorecard. Show them how you measured, what you tested. Show them how this would fit naturally into your process. Highlight a couple of those intangibles here at this point. Like, this is not about replacing our team, but we're going to show you how to amplify our team. This is your moment to say, here's what I'm going to share with you, and this is why I'm excited about it. Next up, you hit them with the numbers. So this is where you dive in, you highlight those hard results. How many hours are saved per course? What was that time worth? How much faster can you create that course outline or those quizzes? And what capacities does this create for your team? Make it real with a very simple before and after snapshot of what we did without AI versus what we did with AI. Don't just say that it's valuable, but show it and really paint that picture of the total gain in ROI, figures, hours, production. Then don't forget about the intangibles. Remember, numbers tell the story of efficiency, but the intangibles tell the story of the transformation that's possible. So, talk about how it reduces the burnout, frees your team to focus on other priorities and strategy, improves speed and quality, keeps your learning designers at the center of the process, and share some of those quotes. I think that's my next one. Yes, share real life success stories. I am a storyteller by nature. I cannot get away from it. I probably do a little bit too much storytelling in what I do. I could probably hold it back a little bit. But this is the stuff that really speaks to who you are as a person, who your organization is, and can really bring in the entire team to share the feedback, to share the improvements, the engagement, and really bring it full circle. And then finally, be clear in your ask, be bold, wrap up with confidence. You've shown everything. You've shown the data, the outcomes, the opportunity. This is where your shift goes from presenting to leading, from idea to action. And you're really going to be that champion to that faster, more creative way to design learning. And with purpose and momentum, as I just said, I love a story. So tie a good quote in there. We've tested it, we've measured it, we've seen the results. This is the time, right? This is really the moment. So another just little reflection piece here. You've seen how to make a persuasive case with data grounded in that human impact. But before we wrap up, let's shift this into action. So because inspiration is great, but what really is going to move this is, of course, you all taking your first step. So here's what I'd like you to do. If you want to share in the chat, great. If not, maybe you just write it down. But take a moment right now to think about the first step that you could take to bring AI into your workflow or to get your leadership on board, whatever makes the most sense for you. Maybe it's identifying one course to use as your testing. Maybe it's testing just a single feature of an AI solution, doing research on AI solutions. Maybe it's just starting the conversation with your manager about where AI could save you time and opening up that communication. I'd love to see what ideas are coming up, or again, write it down for yourself. But I will pause here. Doesn't look like anyone's included yet. But what your first step will be. There are a lot of steps here. And you know what? Just because I gave you some orders of things doesn't mean you have to go in order. You're the only one who truly knows your team, your organization, and your workflow. So whatever step along this process makes the most sense to you is the one that you should pick. All right. For our final recap, this is where I guess we could take the breather. Nobody's taking a breather, but we'll take one. Today, we talked about what it really takes to get your leadership on board with AI and e-learning, how to make your business case with not just facts, but things that actually inspire action. We've seen how the right tool can really reshape your workflow, from the repetitive stuff to jumpstarting creativity, giving you time back. And honestly, as we know, these are not nice to haves anymore. It's the difference between just keeping up with everything going on in e-learning and really, truly leading. We looked at how the measurable gains translate into ROI and blend with storytelling. And yes, we tackled those tough questions from our boss, and we met those questions head on with data-backed responses. At the end of the day, it's really not about adopting new technology, but I've seen things, I've tested it. I know some of you have as well. It's really about unlocking your team's creativity, scaling your ideas, and designing learning that sticks. You've seen a little bit here what AI can do. I hope you continue to make your own discoveries because it really does matter now more than ever in our industry. So in this moment, take these insights, these tools, and this vision and bring them back to your organization. And it's truly been a pleasure to be able to present here with you all today. If you are looking for more, I've got some great resources for you. So attached to my session, you'll see a couple of links in there, and make sure you click on those links, because I've included practical guidance for building your case, more information about Articulate's AI assistant, and then downloadable templates to help you prepare your pitch. So some of those sheets and Excel tables and things like that, I've mapped all that out for you so that you can download and have them for yourselves. So now I think I did pretty good on time. I'd love to open it up for questions. I'd love to see what's on your mind. We can talk about Articulate. We can talk about just AI and e-learning. Or I'd love to hear your ideas in chat and how you could apply these directly to your organization. So once again, thank you. And I will kick it back over and see what we have to address.
Fantastic. Thanks, Melissa. First of all, I just wanted to make a point of, isn't it refreshing to see someone present using Rise rather than PowerPoint? It was great. And part of me was sat there admiring it. The other part of me was thinking, I really need to up my game. So thank you for that, Melissa.
Sure. Yes, I have to. But yeah, thank you so much.
Great stuff.
It was
Really
really
good.
fun putting this together.
Great. Really good question from Laura, who'd love if you could share some of the AI features that Articulate has to offer.
Yeah, of course. So part of me, with this session really wanted to make y'all curious about Articulate's AI assistant. But part of me was said to myself, like, this is enough to spark you and get you on to that next step. So please dive into the resources that I shared as part of my presentation, because it will link you directly to Articulate's AI assistant. But our AI assistant is built into Rise and into Storyline. It's already seamlessly in both of these apps. So whether you use Rise or Storyline or both, you now have an AI assistant who can help you create an entire first draft. It can work with all of your text, including any prompts that you give it. It's an open prompting to help you recreate or generate new content. It helps with quizzing and knowledge checks. It helps with AI imagery, so you can create an AI image from anything. It will help you, let's see, which ones am I missing? Naira can perhaps put in the chat, Naira, just like link to our page for all of the features. Summaries. It can essentially assist you in any part of the course creation process, whether that is the blank page where you'd like to see it create a first draft, or some people prefer to have all of their content in and then make tweaks with AI as they move through.
Fabulous.
What new features are planned? That's a great one. We just launched the AI course drafts. So I would recommend that you go in and try that one out. Essentially, like I said, you can go from either giving AI assistant prompts, including some of your source documentation, and then working with it to create your course draft, your learning objectives, and really build out that course framework for you. So that is the biggest one that we just released.
Excellent. I think there was a question about what KPIs you would recommend people use. Top 3 KPIs to measure. Just find it again. To measure AI-powered e-learning. What would you say are the best things to measure?
Yeah, so I would say it all goes back to keeping it simple and making sure you can test and use a course that you built without AI to what you built with AI. So I would break down your course by, let's say, your learning objectives, your quizzes, your summary, your course outline. Map that picture and see where the hours are. So what I would really like you to present to your boss is the hours saved, because hours equate to dollars, right? The creativity unlocked or sparked. So a lot of that is going to come from the intangibles of talking with your team, getting their feedback. So that's another good measure of success. And maybe with how quickly you can implement it within your organization. I would maybe start to focus on those three. Probably most important are going to be doing your before and after picture, and the hours gained equate to dollars for your leadership.
Absolutely. And that's always the best measure, isn't it? If we can put it in currency terms, that's always going to be well received.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for saying currency. Excuse me for saying dollars. Just an American over here.
We've
Currency.
got people from all over the place.
Yes. Yes.
Someone was just asking about the attachments. There's a resources section on the swap card, so you should be able to find those. But I'm sure we could maybe pop a link in as well. So fabulous stuff. Any more questions? We didn't get anything, I don't think, in the actual questions tab, which is, I guess, testament to how clearly you made all that seem, Melissa. So well
That
done.
is what I think. That is what I think.
So in which case, feel free to pop it in the chat. While I've got a moment, I think I might just take a time to give a shameless plug to our next session. Our next session is Thursday morning, and it's going to be with the fantastic Laura Overton. I'll be back hosting that one. And it's called Unleashing Your Inner L&D Hero, Courage in Uncertain Times. We've got some really good titles for the sessions this year, I've got to say. Maybe AI has been coming up with clickbait style titles. I don't know, but they've definitely come up with some good stuff this year. That'll be a great session. That's Thursday morning at 9:30 UK time. You can do the maths if you're not in the UK. I think a couple of things came out while we were just chatting. So great one there from Ben. What would you like to see in development of AI within creative software?
Ooh, what would I like to see?
Hmm.
Well, I do, to answer something you just mentioned, I do definitely use AI to help me with titles. I'm an abysmal title creator. So I find AI is actually very smart with titles. I love picking and choosing. What would I like to see? Well, I'm gonna shamelessly plug something I'm excited to see about in our software, just because that's kind of where I obviously have my brain. But in Articulate Storyline, we are working in the future to have our AI assistant help with the functionality of a course. So yeah, so triggers and layers. And if anyone's familiar with working in Storyline, when I'm in Storyline, I know that I get hung up and stuck on just things that I just can't figure out with its functionality. So that is where we really want to go with it. Of course, we want to make sure that it's going to be of quality, all those things that we mentioned today, that you're not spending the time to learn something and it's not going to really make an impact. But we're working very hard on that to make sure that it's also helping with the functionality of the creation process within Storyline.
That would be great. That would be great.
Yeah.
If it could save me time on triggers, variables, states, layers,
Yes.
that would be
Yes.
great.
Yep.
Fabulous. Scott says, from a pedagogical standpoint, what do you think are the most exciting opportunities for AI, software agnostic, so just AI generally?
Yeah, great question. I mean, my answer might sound boring, but overall, my answer is always going to be time.
hmm
It's always going to, you need to find out those opportunities that allot you more time in your day to focus on the things that you're either passionate about or strategy of your organization. I think the opportunities of AI as a time saver are really limitless at this point.
hmm
I think as long as the security and the quality line up, I use AI throughout my day. I don't know why I'm whispering it. I'm not embarrassed. Like I use AI as a person, as an e-learning designer, as a friend, as a mother to give me time back in my day. So
No, I
find
think
out
that's,
what time it saves for you, where you're
yeah,
wasting some of that time or maybe spending too much time. And that's going to be, I think, how it unlocks time for you.
I like that. I like that. And I think to add to that, Scott, what I'd like to see
Yeah.
is software that really helps us with learning design. So not just visual design, not creative design, but I think we would all admit that the way that we've structured e-learning over the last 20, 30 years, in some cases has been a little bit formulaic, perhaps
Mm.
not brilliantly aligned to the learning experience. So I think AI that maybe prompts you to say, have you thought about maybe starting with a challenge and then helping them master it rather than giving them all the information and then quizzing at the end, or just different ways of looking at things that I think
Mm.
the knowledge is out there, but I think it could really bring to the surface, hey, here's another way of looking at this. I'd like
Mm.
to see that, Scott.
That's a great point.
Fabulous. Any more questions, comments, queries? I think we're there. Excellent. So thank you again, Melissa. I find that really interesting. And I'm sure people will reach out to you on LinkedIn with questions.
Please.
That tends to be what happens at the end of this. Your details are in the resources that you've shared, so anyone can find you. So I will hang around for the next couple of minutes just in case, but I think we're pretty much there. Thank you very much for everybody attending. Your participation very much appreciated. Don't forget, we've got sessions running this week and next, and the next one is Thursday morning, 9:30 a.m. UK time. But final words from you, Melissa.
Yeah, just thank you all so much. This is a pleasure, and I just love hearing from all of you. Maybe we'll meet in the future. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have a conversation. So, just very grateful. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, everybody. The chat will be open for a moment, so if you do have any final thoughts, that's great. But we'll probably wrap up the stream. And thank you very much. See you soon.